You're listening to Hope 103.1 FM. Keep it locked.
Oh, Jesus.
Good vibes.
Never could have changed my mind. My father is the most I got, so no matter try waste my time. If I know God, you know me not.
Godly energy. You are listening to Hope 103.1 FM Grenada. Spreading the message of hope to everyone. We are Hope 103.1 FM Grenada.
Welcome one and all to yet another episode of the Money Talk, where we share with you on different topics pertaining to financial management and your responsibility as a good steward. We want to welcome all of those that are locked in on the radio, via radio 103.1 FM, via our live YouTube link. And those that are locked on our website, Hope FM Grenada. We want to thank you for tuning in, and we can tell you now that we are in for yet another exciting discussion, yet another Monday afternoon. We want to also thank all of those that would have prayed, encouraged us on Saturday when we had our first social, I would say, event, a motorcade, where we would have, just went around the communities, surrounding communities, to spread the message of hope and what we are doing here at Hope FM 103.1. Mr. DJ, how are you doing today?
Well, boss, I doing real good. Trust me. I good since last week's Friday. I good. the only thing from the motorcade, boy, I get like a break up from that lengthy the day from standing up, but
right.
I heal again and I ready to go. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
I ready to go.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
man.
good. All right, so folks, today we're going to be talking about inheritance.
Yeah. On mine.
You want? Yes. Even before we came live, myself and DJ Sabi were just discussing, and I was telling him I want mine now.
For real.
Right, so we're going to be touching on inheritance today, and we're going to try to bring some light to the whole topic. And coming to the end of the program, we would be joined by a live guest, and who's going to share a little bit more from the legal side of things as we get into inheritance. So as the word says, inheritance, what is an inheritance? Right? When you hear that word, what comes to mind? And I could say for me, DJ Sabi, what comes to mind is land and money.
Mucho cash.
Yeah.
I think honestly, prior to looking at it, I always think about the land and the house.
The land and the house.
Yeah, more so the land and the house. Not even the money, but the land and the house.
And the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on another note, might sound funny, but the thing that people just fight for. The land and the house. People just fight for it.
Yeah, especially the land there.
I'm telling
It's
you.
like they say, if you want to see a family get sour after somebody dies, let that person have some land.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
problem, yes.
that's the end of family relations there,
Just like that.
right? So we're going to be speaking about inheritance, and we're going to be touching on some points that surrounds that. But before we go a bit deeper into it, there are some common misconceptions with the whole term, and how you go about inheriting, who is the rightful person to inherit, all these different things. So we're just gonna try to really dive down inside here for you guys. Don't forget, you can send in your comments, whether you're tuning in live on the YouTube link. You can send in your comments, questions. As we discuss the matters, feel free. You can also WhatsApp. Our contact number is 403-1031, so you can send in your messages on WhatsApp as well. So before we get into inheritance per se, we just want to clarify what's the difference between an inheritor and an heir, right? Because in inheriting something, based on our research, based on what the Bible says, you can be the heir to an inheritance, right? But you can also be an inheritor. So these are two terms we're going to try to clarify. So an inheritor is someone who inherits something, but that person was not, I would say, the person that was in line for that inheritance. So I'm just going to use an example here to try to clarify that. So my father had a estate. I'm his only child.
Right.
So he would have died, and by right, I am the heir to his estate. However, my father saw it fitting for someone else to inherit the estate because of my mismanagement, for whatever reason. So he says, I want DJ Sabi to be the inheritor.
Yeah.
So Sabi is not the heir to the estate, but my father said, you know what, I find Sabi is doing a good job, so I'm going to make him the inheritor.
Right.
So they have the inheritor. He inherits, but he's not the heir. And the heir is someone who is designated, or that rightful person that should be inheriting, or would have been next in line to inherit whatever it is that the father or whomever would have been able to pass on.
Right.
So it brings to the next point, Sabi. What can be inherited?
Yeah. What can be inherited?
What can you inherit?
Well, we mentioned earlier on that one can inherit lands. One can inherit a bank account full of money. You can inherit a vehicle. And, God, I thought about anything that has a title deed to it. So, by law, there's some things that, to own a vehicle or to be the rightful owner of the vehicle, your name have to be in the treasury as the owner of the vehicle. So, but then I actually went on to think a bit. There are cases where that is not the case. You don't have a deed for the land. You don't have that. Your name is not to that document when the government is concerned. But you may have clothes. You have shoes. You have jewelry. You may have some books. So can these things be inherited? Or do people see these things as something valuable? Like man clothes. You know what I mean? Or man shoes. So what can be inherited? I would like you guys to give us, just take a minute and share what you think could be inherited and what cannot be inherited. But God, I also thought about a family's I would say spiritual value. Can that be inherited just the same?
Just the same.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because when doing some, the research that we normally do, something that came up in that Now, apart from the physical, you can also inherit. They said you can inherit different genes or traits,
Yeah.
right? From your family. So inheritance is not only something outwardly physical that you can get, but you can also inherit biological things. But also you can inherit spiritual things.
Yeah.
And that is where the home comes in. Because, for example, if your home life is a certain way, there's a high possibility that is how you will grow up,
Yeah.
and that is what you would pass on. That is what you would emulate. And likewise, for spiritual matters, those are things that can be inherited
Right.
from your mother, from your father, right? But what is interesting also to note, a flip side to this is, the scripture speaks about we are joint heirs with Christ.
Right.
So there's a side to inheritance that deals with us
Right.
now being the children of God.
God, yeah.
And we are now heirs. And as we mentioned earlier, an heir is someone that is the rightful owner.
Yeah.
So we have become the rightful owners to spiritual gifts because of our acceptance and that relationship that we now have with Christ.
Yeah.
So it's a holistic thing when we're talking about inheritance. It's not just about house and land that your family may pass on, but it's also spiritual things that comes this time from accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
All right.
So
That's a good one.
it's not only physical.
Right.
It's not only
We had-
earthly stuff.
We had one comment here on WhatsApp. Someone says one can inherit a business or a company. So
True.
not just the money, the
Mhm.
land, but a company. All right. So that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I love the way this is going. So, want to continue?
Yeah. Even before we move on from what can be inherited, sometimes something might not be of value to you, Sabi, but it might be of value to me.
Right.
So, to me, inheriting that thing might mean the world. So, you might have a vintage record
Yeah.
collection.
Yeah.
Some CDs from back in the days.
Yeah.
And to me, that might mean the world to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say you can inherit something once that thing has value to it.
Right.
Yeah. Once it has value to it.
But also what came to mind is that sometimes where you have a family setting by and you have like 4 or 5 children and one child thought, I should receive that thing based on how close me and my father is
Yeah.
or my mother is. And mother and fathers will see more than what children will see. And the mother might choose to say, here what's going on upon my death. I want to leave that thing for that person, but the person who thought they should get that, they didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And what they get, they are upset
Mm-hmm.
with their parents. Like, oh, you can leave that for me.
Yeah.
I mean, mommy was better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what kind of thing mommy should I leave, or daddy should I leave that particular thing for me instead of that particular thing?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's just a thought that crossed my mind right there. But what does the Bible have to say also about an inheritance? Let's take a look at that. All right.
Yeah.
Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 22. All right. It says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children."
Mhm.
Not just his children,
Mhm.
but his children, so his grandchildren. But the wealth of the sinners is stored up for the righteous.
Mhm.
All right. But we want to focus on that. A good man leaves an inheritance, not just for his children, but for his children's children.
Yeah.
All right. But I want to also say I feel like a good man should leave an inheritance for his children, not just for his children's
Yeah.
children.
True.
But most times I believe that children, that when you think about it, if you put yourself in a frame of mind, is like that in order for that to pass on to your children, That's the next generation you're talking about. So it has to pass through one generation in order for it to
To
reach
get
the
to the
next.
next.
You understand? So the Bible is trying to show us that when we're thinking about passing on whatever the inheritance is, we should think beyond just our children.
Yeah.
Let us think the next generation. And as you mentioned, it could be spiritual. It could be some values that your parents has instilled in you, and you would want to pass that on.
Yeah,
Because
to your
there may be
children.
some principles that your father or your forefather or your grandfather would have learned, and he wants to make sure that is being passed on. So we don't always think about it like from the money or the jewelry, the cars, the business. You understand? We also want to think about it like beyond that, because knowledge
Yeah.
is wealth. And when you know things, people would actually pay you for that. You understand? So you could have a situation where there is something that a family has found, some piece of knowledge that they came up on, and they put the copyright to that particular knowledge. You understand? And they want to keep it within their family. And the law actually makes place for these types of things just to see in God. So that's one of the things that I believe when the Bible talks. It must be like a house that passed on from one generation to the next, but I'm saying it could be beyond that. You understand?
True.
Yeah. So
True. And
that's a good thing.
as you were speaking there, this thought came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in episode 2, we would have touched on good steward, characteristics
Right.
of a good steward, and so on, how he would save, how he would provide for his family.
Right.
Now, I don't believe the scripture is by chance speaking about your children's children,
Right.
because your children, you would have been providing for them while they are with you,
Yeah.
right? And most times your grandchildren, you don't really get to spend that kind of time and
with
invest in them.
Yeah.
So you are supposed to be providing for them now, right? So you, as a good steward, you are supposed to be saving, and making room for your children.
Yeah.
So your children should be in a position that when you were to say you're going to be passing on your estate or whatever it is when you're about to die or
Right.
so, your children should be in a position where they don't necessarily need this inheritance,
Right.
but more so you're making a way now for your grandchildren,
Of course.
and
thinking beyond.
and the cycle's supposed to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And the cycle's supposed to continue. So your grandchildren has a good start. Remember, you would have invested in your children,
Right.
so your children is somewhat set. They have a foundation that they can build on.
Mm-hmm.
So when your grandchildren get this inheritance and your children are prepared, they are able now to propel their children, and the cycle is supposed to go
Continue.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what as you said, as you mentioned the cycle, what really came to mind is that we have to learn to break the cycle. I mean, there are some of us, we never got the opportunity to receive anything.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents they were poor; they didn't have anything to give to us,
Yeah.
and we had to start from zero with whatever little they has given to us. If the opportunity to go to school, we take it. That's an inheritance, the opportunity, because they spend their money to send you to school. Maybe they weren't able to give you jewelry, land, they weren't able to give you a vehicle, you understand, and things that are tangible. But they give you something intangible that you could turn and you could make that into something tangible. So when I say break the cycle, now as you learn, because they didn't have the opportunity to learn what you are learning today. So as you learn now, you get an opportunity now to create something different. At one time in my life, I said, I want to be a different Sabazan. You understand what I'm saying? Because when I looked at my bloodline, I looked at my immediate family members and so on, I noticed there was a particular trend, and I said to myself, God, I want to break that.
Yeah.
So I step out on a different path. You understand what I'm saying? So the point is, we have to break the cycle. So now that God has showed me something and give me certain opportunities, now what do I do with it? Should I die with it?
Yeah.
No, I have to learn to pass that on. Thank God he gave me 2 boys. That means I had 2 seeds, male children. And that is a plus, because that's how you get to continue and build a generation. You understand what I'm saying? So, nothing wrong, guy have a daughter. Don't catch, a man go come and change his name eventually. That's you get what I'm saying? But there's some things you can instill in her, and that, you know, she will always keep that part of her name in there and then continue. You see what I'm saying? Because the law makes space for that to know. Or like back in the days when a man married a woman, he just take all that to say, watch,
that's the end of it.
don't know that. You understand? So people will still know she a part of your bloodline. You check what I'm saying?
True.
So no man had to break the cycle and teach our children to break the cycle. And that's where the stewardship comes in to play.
True.
Because we don't want to just say, all right, you want yours now? Yeah. Take it. And then where you go do with it? 1 year later, your parents are gonna, well, that brings us to the next question. Should you wait until you die to give you
inheritance?
Yeah, should you wait?
Yeah.
I mean, people, what y'all think? Do you think y'all should wait if you're a parent? Or are you a child? You want to wait until your parents die to get what's yours? You don't prefer a guy? No.
Yeah.
You understand? I mean, I would love to get mine. No. Yeah, like right now too. So, but what do you guys think? Before we continue, we just give you opportunity. We give you all an opportunity. You can WhatsApp us at 403-1031, or if you're on the live stream, Facebook, wherever, YouTube, you can send us a message. Do you think you want to wait until your parents die to receive your inheritance, or you think you want it now? Yeah, I want mine now.
You know.
So Arlene, let me pick some people out, and the Branna. Do you want your inheritance now, or you want to wait until your father? You think it's right for your parents to say, when I die, you'll get that?
You'll get it.
That's cool, yeah.
You know, and even as we discussing that, one thing my father taught me growing up, since I was young, he always used to say, blessed is the man that have it his own.
Yeah, have his own, yeah.
You know, and the thinking, you know, it's like as you get older now, you get wiser, and from discussions with him, and, you know, he would tell me, it's not that I don't want to leave anything for you, you know,
yeah,
but I don't want you to sit down and wait on it.
Let's see how, there's a parable, or whatever you call it, that you give me the other day.
Yeah,
what is it?
Never wait on dead man's shoes. Because when you get it, it might not fit you.
It might not fit you.
Yeah.
Check, or it might be rotten.
Yeah.
Way out. You understand?
You know? So he always used to tell me that. He say it's not that I would not leave, but I don't want you to sit down and wait on it and not do anything.
Right.
Right? You have the opportunities now, take advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, somebody send us a message. We don't say who it is normally, right? So we just say for you guys, if you comment and we don't call the name, don't feel no how. We just like, you know, you can give us permission to use your name. The next thing you know, your parents listening and say that's what you saying on the people's program. So one of our friends commented, the one there's no. They say the one there's no. So my friend said, sorry, that one you had to, that's a read that one, God.
Waiting until they die can sometimes be problematic, especially when other people are involved.
Oh Lord, boy, she touched it there. She touched it there. Yeah, for real. You understand? Say my parents is in good health. I need it now. Well, there's no laughing matter as much as we are laughing about it. My partner say he want his own now. Well, should you go and command your parents now and say, watch now, all you're going on now. Can I have mine now? Is it right to say so? There is an analogy or portion in the Bible that speaks to that, right? So, God, you want to read that one?
Yeah, so let's look at Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 14.
Right.
It says, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living.
That boy.
After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So we all know that story.
Yeah.
We all know that story of the
I mean, not all know, you know, but
most persons
know about it, but Go ahead, but what?
Well, no. Looking at it, some would say, well, I don't want to dig in. No, but what is important to note is management,
Right.
good steward. And I think once persons get to understand their responsibility as a good steward,
Right.
even in asking for years now, you would be in a position that you can manage it,
Right.
right? You would be in a position where you can utilize it to the best of your ability. And at the end, you want to see multiplication. You want the talents that have been given to you to be multiplied. And I think once you keep these things in mind, you would be on the right course. And pulling from that passage of scripture, I believe what happens when you get it now and your mind is not in the right place, you can end up squandering and losing.
Becoming a prodigal son.
Yeah. Because you hear what verse 13 says?
Right.
He squandered his wealth in wild living.
I wonder
Is
how
wild
living was, boy.
Is wild living being a good steward? You ask yourself that question.
So someone sent a comment and they said, we must consider maturity and responsibility. Some inheritance mature at age 18 or 21 for this reason. Okay, so do you think age has a part to play with it when someone should receive their part of the inheritance? You feel so good?
Yes, yeah.
Age.
I go side with that age.
I like the part with the maturity and the ability to be responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the flaw with the father in this case, if you look at the portion, is that did he know that his son? You ever ask yourself that question, boy? Or did he think that man was responsible enough to say, okay, you asked for it now, nothing wrong with that. I'll give it to you. Did he care? Or did he think that, or he thought that when he ruled out with it, in my own little way, painted the story that when he gone with the bag of money, because I believe it's some money he got, eh?
Yeah,
so when
some coins.
I feel it's some money he got. I mean, it had to be money because the point is, he gone with it and he squandered it. He squandered every bit of it to the point where he end up in a pig pen. Oh gosh. So, forget about he coming back home. Let's focus on what he received and what he did with it.
What he did with it.
Right? Try to put yourself in the father's position, because if the father wasn't there, he can't get no inheritance. No inheritance. And he had to inherit if he doesn't have a father.
Yeah.
So, when I think about it, it's like the father was kind of. I find he could have do a better job before he give, or give the man your life still. Give the man a small portion. Don't give him everything, man. But maybe the father was rich, so maybe he had a portion cut out for him already. So he just say, "Well, look it."
But Sabi, you're making me ask you this question here now.
Yeah.
When someone is passing on an inheritance, say for example, the inheritance is passed on while they are alive, should you be concerned with what the inheritor does with the inheritance?
See, that's a good question. You see, that's the problem today too. Why? Most men don't want to give their children the inheritance while they're alive. Because they're scared that he go bleed them. You understand? Hold on, let me take this here. He let it go to his head. He wasn't prepared for the inheritance, even though he wanted it. I feel so.
Yeah.
The father meant well. Maybe, and in most cases, most parents will feel like, yeah, well, no, it's my son, my daughter. I want to see them excel. I want to see them go further. So if giving them that will propel them to another level in life, well, why not? Why not give it to them?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you would say, as this portion that my friend just shared there, Isaiah, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. All right. When should it be given? Wisdom, or should it be applied in the case? Sorry. Go back to the part. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children, whether he's alive or dead. Right? His duty is to leave that for his children.
For his children.
So when he gives that, you can't expect the children to do what we for after. You can't expect the children to deal with it the way that you want them to do it. Maybe you would like them to handle it a particular way, but do you have any control over how they handle it? Got to give Chloe she's 12, 15 years, or put it like that, she's 15 years and you get $20,000. What she gonna do with it?
At that age.
She don't know. I mean, I could imagine giving Jade that money, and I know what he would do with it.
Yeah.
You go and buy a drone. You understand? You buy all the toys that you figure he wants at his age.
Yeah.
So this just also shows me that we have to pay attention to the way we grow in our children and teach them certain things, instill certain things, and it goes back to what I said earlier on. You understand? Hold on, we have 2 more comments. Let me try to understand what Keziah was saying.
Yeah, it says, when should it be given? Wisdom must or should be applied. And in the case of untimely death, a will can be set up. Yeah.
Okay. So she's saying that when should it be given? You got to make sure you use wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah.
All right.
I guess in that case, it would be if to give them before.
Yeah.
Right? Or to put a will for when.
All right. When they actually
pass,
gone.
yeah.
Let's hear what Miss Abazan is saying now. Maybe the son told lies. That's a good one. that one is a good one. Because, truth is, the Bible never say how he got the money. He just asked for it. Maybe he had reasons to justify what he would do with the money.
Sometimes he could have been pestering the father for this inheritance.
Yeah.
Too, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand? So, but at the end of the day, if the father chooses to give, he cannot be there one day and trying to tell the outer place. You give a big man, a big man, you give money, a big woman, you give money, and what they go and tell them how to use it. Or if you have so much concern as to how it will be used, my advice is give it in chunks. That's for the parents. So you're frightened, set it up in such a way that you have a little control over it. Still, because you're too sure, that's wisdom.
Yeah.
You understand? And you get them in chunks. If you could keep a little bit still. So you see, I start you and I find you ready for that. Within 2 years, learn from these mistakes, and then later on when I find you ready, I will give you then again.
Yeah.
You understand?
But sometimes it might make sense, as you mentioned, the chunks or phases.
Yeah.
You get them half now, and then they get a balance when I pass away.
Yeah.
So
check
at
it
least
now.
they have a start.
So check it out. But when he got there, so he got with the money. So when he got there now, things was nice. So the man get weak. So he could not help it. So he decided he just decided watch. I feel I'm home. I ain't thinking about it now, My brother still have a portion. So maybe daddy might just give me a little bit. He might just feel, my brother might feel sorry for me. Because people just do that sometimes.
Yeah.
You may have a situation where you want a brother real close, but brother we talking about. But you go and spend all the thing and you come up by your brother and ask him for his. Because I know the man have a soft heart. And you just tell yourself, my brother would never leave me hungry, so you're watching your brother inheritance. You understand? What you had to say, God?
Well, the story comes to mind of Esau.
I was thinking about that.
Not all the times you could rely on your brother in them
You
case,
see that?
because your brother might turn on and double cross you or something.
You understand? Even in blood. Guys, that's a very serious topic, Your inheritance. Let's take in this comment right here before we continue. The father's duty is to make sure that his child or children is responsible in every way. It is up to the child or the children to listen, take heed, advise, and to manage to be successful, or to be managed to be successful in life, and also in handling the inheritance that they receive, etc. So, I mean, if you squander what your father worked hard for, I find you a slack child, man. Come on. If you grew with your parents and you see how they struggle to achieve certain things, and then you have an opportunity to receive it, the only thing you could do is to, come on, man. But we know generally that is, we kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
So, you know what did I say? is a saying. I don't know if where I hear it, but rich people children sometimes must be the one be most guilty.
Mm-hmm.
They have it to the, to the in the magnitude,
Yeah.
and they just squander
You
it.
just want that.
Yeah, it's hard when you see a poor man child doing the same thing. It's
Yeah.
worse actually, So let's move on to the next point, guys. We talking is a money talk, and today we're talking about inheritance and why you should get yours now. If you want yours now, God want his now. I ain't ready to give mine yet.
Well, I believe this might come out later on, but I'm wondering if there is an actual age
Mhm.
limit by law,
Right,
as relates to what age someone can actually inherit
right,
something. Because say, for example, God forbid, I was to pass away today,
right.
I can't see my daughter actually negotiating or doing anything, with whatever I may have had and leave behind.
Right.
So I do believe that there's an age limit by law.
That one bring me to, based on what you just said, that one brings me to, I would say, a little bit about my profession and what I know regarding living or buying a life insurance, for example, and dying without having a beneficiary. So you bought the life insurance, maybe at the time you didn't have no children, you didn't have no wife, right? You did not put your mother or your brother as a beneficiary, and you die.
Mm-hmm.
Who gets that proceeds from the policy? Who is the rightful owner? You ever thought about that? Who do you
Yeah.
think is the rightful owner? Yeah? I think we'll leave that question for the lawyer to answer
Yeah,
later.
when it comes, because what I might have in my head.
Might be wrong.
Might
You
be
feel?
wrong.
Well, when you die, you leave an estate.
Mhm.
And if you don't have children, you don't have a wife or a husband, whatever the case may be, and your mom is alive, by the court's ruling, you would have she could justify, but she cannot just go to the company and say to them, "Here's what, this is my child, so he died.
Okay.
I had to bury him." It must be something that is sanctioned by the court. There's a particular. I've never experienced it in reality where it happened, but that's what I've been taught. So
Okay.
the court, you have to go through that, whatever the process is, and the court will say, okay, you're the right person to receive that
To
estate.
receive it.
Understand? If not, it just stays with the company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nobody ain't come to claim it, so who will get it?
Mhm.
There's a dead claim, but there's no one to pay to. You get?
Okay.
So yeah. Taking comments here before we continue. Here, someone says, on a serious note, most families are from the middle class and most families are from the middle class and barely had an inheritance themselves. Therefore, it's hard for parents to give an inheritance to their kids because there's nothing to give but a mortgage if they pass. And that's one that we didn't talk about, but I saw it in the research that, boy, debt is being passed on as an inheritance.
An inheritance, yeah.
And that one could be kind of rough. You understand? Where you inherit debt. But it's a reality. Yeah?
It's true.
Yeah, it's a reality. From a banking perspective, you ever had to deal with anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah? How was the process here?
Some of the complications, the scenarios get very complicated.
Yeah.
So, your father might have died and he left in the will this property for you.
Mm-hmm.
But that property is mortgaged to the bank.
Right.
In order for you to get it, you have to clear off the debt.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm.
So, you want the property, you can't afford to pay the debt at this time.
Right.
So what happens? You actually no longer have rights to the property.
Mm.
Right? So you see these things happening. You see these things happening all the time. Someone might. What I can tell you, a lot of young persons, they are joining on loans with, like, their parents who are more ageable,
Mm-hmm.
and when the parents pass away, they are left having to cover these loans. They might not have benefited directly
Right.
from the proceeds of the loans, but they are left with these debts.
For real. You want to take this comment right here?
Yeah. I'm joining late, but if the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance, I think we should define leave because I'm guessing if it said gives his children an inheritance, it can make a difference between whether the inheritance would come before or after. Also, we should define the word inheritance or inherit.
Right.
From my understanding, if you inherit something, you take it over from the owner at the death of the owner.
Well, that's a good way to look at it also.
Mhm.
All right. So this individual say prodigal son behavior. Blessed is the son that have his own.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're into the money talk. Boy. Yes. The inheritance thing is real.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You know?
It is.
And when you have more than one inheritors, I think it could make things very
Very
complicated,
complicated.
when the parent or the parents
Mhm.
or whoever is the giver of the inheritance don't do it the right way.
Sure.
All right, we'll get to that a little later.
And you know, I've heard this so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell them who getting what, so I don't have to
Right.
do no will.
Boy,
Yeah, It's like-
yeah.
there's only 3 of them,
Mhm.
and I don't tell them this one getting that one getting this, and the other.
Mhm.
So I don't have to do no will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My word is my bond.
yeah,
My word is good enough.
yeah.
We have some scenarios later, and our guests will, go through it with us. So we don't want to jump the gun, right? So some redundant, but
Yeah.
give it lock. Share it too. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet. All right, this is a Money Talk. Hoop 103.1 FM. We on the inside, man. Yeah, I gotta say Selector Sabi and God. That song right. So God, let's jump to the next point, boy. Reasons why we should pass on our inheritance while we are alive.
Yeah.
What are some other reasons? I mean, the folks there actually kind of touch a little bit. We don't want to talk about when someone is dead alone, as Misha says, because it's not only when one dies, I believe, that you should give them, because the prodigal son scenario shows us that the father was alive and the child or his sons, they were alive too,
Mhm.
and he asked for it and he gave it to him. So what are some other reasons you feel?
Well, the first one we have here, giving the next generation an early inheritance to start a business or to invest now, and to grow the size of the gift in the
Mhm.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it is money, because like if you think about it, like if you had an opportunity, God, to inherit a property like a house,
Mhm.
and remember that has value, much just to get house and land, and then you still have opportunity to work,
Mhm.
but you don't have a mortgage to pay. You realize you have disposable income
Yeah.
that you can use, you understand, to do
A lot more.
a lot more.
Mhm.
So whilst you're alive, as I said, if I was given the opportunity, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Especially if I was in a place where I was able, like I met a young man last week actually. I went to do something and he said to me, boy, I have 2 houses. My mom, she's still alive, but I'm the only child.
Mhm.
So already he claimed that. Even if in his mind is like, oh, who else gonna receive that?
Mhm.
And then he said my uncle left and he went to the States and he signed over his house that he had here to me. So and then I'm working. So I
Right.
say, guy, you're really fortunate. So what you have to do right now is, I say, fix up the house. He say, nah, not fix it up, and I just clean it out.
Mhm.
And that is all. Dude could be about 27 years old. You understand? So he could choose to say, wow, I have a property here, boy. I could live reckless. Let me bring a lot of girls inside. They have party regular, enjoy my life because I don't have to worry about nothing.
Yeah.
As well as he could sort it out nicely and decide, okay, what's going on? Let me go and invest in that. You understand? Let me invest in that. Let me use that and build something. And from that inheritance,
Mhm.
there could be multiplication. Because he had no loan to pay, so he could
That's
rent
the
that
thing.
property, get that money and buy a next property.
Yeah.
You understand? Or you could take that, rent that property, take a loan, and Yeah, go in debt.
Yeah.
At least you have a way to pay
And,
it.
and that property is paying the debt.
Exactly. Later on,
Yeah.
you could sell that property for more money
Mhm.
and then invest in more properties. But
Yeah.
if nobody has took the time to train him or teach him, you understand? He will know about that.
Yeah, he will know.
But we need to go a little faster because it's now 6:46, and I promise our guests that we will bring him in at 6:45. So he's already on, right? He's listening. So what we gotta do here, real quick, is just go through the reasons and what to keep in mind. Although we cannot touch it already,
Yeah.
and then we'll get our guests on screen.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
one comment came in, touched on this point.
Mm-hmm.
Reduce the potential for family conflict over your estate after you're gone. And then finally, the potential to save on taxes and fees.
Yeah. You know, I made a
Yeah.
call to my friend in the tax office, got about the taxes and so on. And he said to me, when you're actually transferring a property based on the value, you have more tax to pay.
Yeah.
So the lesser the value, if it's under, I think 500 or something thousand, you don't pay no tax at all. If it's over, the
Mhm.
person receiving have to pay some monies. You
Okay.
understand? So what also came to mind is that if you have a huge estate or a big piece of land, acres, and it's worth a certain amount and you have more than one children, you could cut it up,
Mhm.
right? And therefore that gives you opportunity to save on the tax dollar.
The tax,
You
yeah.
understand? So that's some of the advantages when we talk in house and land in particular. All right. What we need to keep in mind is, as we mentioned earlier on, as with other gifts, whether it's a holiday, a present, a large fortune, once you're the giver, all right, or once you have given it to someone else, you won't have any remaining control over it. Yeah, and you cannot get it back. So don't think about it like, oh, I'll get it back. It may sound obvious, but you must be prepared to accept that there is no option if the recipient chooses to use the proceeds in ways, and that's what the parents, that you disapprove.
Mhm.
There's absolutely nothing you could be upset, but
Yeah.
Panaman, your name ain't there by that again. Oh, Miss Woman, your name is not by that again. You understand? Guys, thank you for all the comments. We see them, but we can't really take all the comments right now because I'm getting ready to add my guest to stream. So let me just check and make sure he's there and he's ready. But if you are, and I know hopefully you're hearing me, if you are, you can, show us your face and unmute your mic so I can bring you into the studio. All right, good. Yeah, the man, they listening all the time, boy. All right, guys. So let me bring my guest up. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening, good evening.
Right,
Fine,
right,
thanks,
right.
and you?
We are doing fine. Got to have to turn on the music so you can hear him clearly, right?
Sure.
I had to turn it off altogether. All right, man. So I see you were taking in a little bit of the discussion a while ago. I could imagine.
Yeah, I
you
was
smelled it and everything.
listening, learning a thing or two.
Well, you're a father yourself, so you get a picture.
Definitely.
All right. So for those of most persons listening might know who you are. So I just want to give you an opportunity to, invite to just tell the guests a little bit about yourself and who you are, so they know that we're dealing with a credible individual.
All right, good evening to all listeners and viewers. My name is Francis Paul. I'm an attorney. I have my chambers at the beginning of H.A. Blaze Street, St. George's. I've been practicing for just shy of 2 decades.
Right.
So I don't want to say more than that for people to figure out how old I am. When
Yeah.
I look at the beard and
You said it.
and try to figure out. But yes.
Yeah, you said it.
So and thank you for having me on this evening.
Yeah, brother, it's a pleasure. I could not thought about anybody else but you when the thought came to talk about that. Well, you have a special business relationship, so obviously no biasness in that for any other person that is listening. I'm a good bridging. So, Mr. Paul, what I want you to describe in your own words a will. What is a will?
Yeah, I'm gonna describe it in not in my own words. If I describe it in own words, I'll be using legal language. Let me describe it
Um,
in a simple form so everyone could understand.
all right.
Well, a will, to put it simply, is an instrument in writing, must be in writing, by which someone give direction to dispose of their property after they would have passed away. I think that's the simplest explanation I can give.
Right.
Okay.
What is critical that it must be in writing, must be signed if it's a male the testator, if it's a female the testatrix. The person must know that they are making a will, and that's important. You have to possess the mental capacity to make a will. So,
Mhm.
for instance, someone who is suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, cannot make a will.
Okay.
Mm.
I mean, you know, we have lucid moments, but you have to have that mental capacity. You have to be over 18, an adult, and you have to know that you're disposing of your property. As a matter of fact, I'll just read from the Old Wills Act.
Mm-hmm.
It says that it should be in writing, and it shall be signed at the foot or end thereof. Foot or end of the will. Now, even if there's a space, there's an intervening page, as long as it is signed at the foot, it can be in between, but as long as it is signed, it can be a mark if that person is illiterate
Okay.
or blind or for whatever reason is incapable of signing but can make a mark, an X. So it can be signed by some person for the testator or testatrix, but it
Mhm.
must be in his or her presence and by his or her direction, right? And the signature shall be made or acknowledged by the testator in the presence of two or more witnesses
Mm-hmm.
present at the same time. See what is critical, the formalities. The two witnesses witnessing the testator's signature have to be present at the same time.
Mm.
So
And then they shall attest.
you
Sorry?
can't I say you can't have one witness come now and the next one come later.
No,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Both have to be present at the same time in the presence of each other. And the testator tell them, okay, this is my will. They know that they witnessing the signature of the testator to his will.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So that
Mhm.
that's something, because a will also is, I would say, one of the mechanism that one someone can use to pass on their estate
Mhm.
to another, to the
Well,
child. Mm.
Well, there's only two ways I think that you can pass property after death is either
Right.
through a will or
Mm-hmm.
if it devolve an intestacy. If there is no will, then I mean
Mm-hmm.
the person died intestate,
Okay.
right?
Cool.
Um, a will though, a will become void by marriage. So if you make a will now, Savi,
Well. Uh,
and you marry, you know that you have to make a new will.
yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Another thing is that a beneficiary or devisee, someone who is getting a gift or a device under the will, cannot
Mhm.
be one of the attesting witnesses.
Okay.
Otherwise, that gift will become void.
Mhm.
Okay.
Possible
So, for
corruption.
instance, if you know someone pass away and leave their house to me, or my dad passed away, leave his house to me, but I'm one of the witnesses,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid.
gift becomes void. Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
So now that we get that,
So, but you
continue.
know, you were talking about inheritance and you were concentrating on will,
Right.
right? And I think one of the persons who commented said, I think that the simplest way to interpret or describe inheritance is property, whatever it could be a dish, it could be a family heirlooms that comes to you after the person would have passed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you inherit. So I can't see that you have an inheritance during the lifetime of the person. They can give you a gift.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So you get a gift.
Okay.
Right.
Right. So I'm saying the will is one way. The other way is intestacy. The persons don't make a will. And as Gat was saying earlier, most folks, if particularly the older folks, they will say, you know what, I'll leave this piece of paper. And that piece of paper is saying, okay, you would stay in the downstairs for life. You take that piece of land there by the mango tree, border with the golden apple tree.
Right.
That's not a will. So when that person passes, what happens is that intestacy would kick in.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's up to the beneficiaries, whether they are siblings or whoever, to come together and honor the wishes.
Okay.
But legally, what would happen is that the all the property would devolve an intestacy. And how it goes, you have the Intestate Act.
Mm-hmm.
If a man is married and he has no issue, so whether it's a husband or a wife passes away, no issue, then the husband or wife would get half of the property, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 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 the mother or father would get the other half. That's how it evolves. If the
Okay.
person have mother, father alive. Now,
Oh.
if they leave husband or wife or issue, so say you leave two issues, then the husband or wife gets half, and
Mm-hmm.
the issue get a half in equal shares. If it's one issue, then that child would take the half, so it shares between the wife and the child equally. Now, if there is no husband or wife and only issue, then the issue take it in equal shares,
Okay.
right? Now, if there is no husband, no wife, no issue, then it goes to parents. If there are no parents, then brothers and sisters. If brothers and sisters, then grandparents, and it comes down to uncles and aunts.
Wow.
And if there is no uncles and aunts, no relative, then it goes to the crown.
Okay. The state get it.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, guys.
But
We're learning
you see, the confusion now, and I say confusion because it is confusion,
Yeah.
that a lot of persons don't make a will. I mean, no one expects death, and unless you are terminally ill, you don't think about making a will,
Very true.
True.
right? Because you think you have time,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's where you have confusion setting in, because you may have children. Some folks have children all over. You have children that emerge from the woodwork. It happens. And then everyone wants a share, depends on what it is. It may not be practical to share. You may have to sell and share the proceeds, and then you have to go to court. You have to go for what is called petition, because everyone can come together collectively and agree. So it's always the best option is to make a will, because in a will, you, the testator or testatrix, decide how you want your property to be divided after you pass away.
Right.
Because, I mean, um, you may have 10 children, but you don't want to share your property between the 10 equally.
Them. Yeah.
You may decide that I would give two half, and the other 8 I would share the other half. But you can do that in your will. On intestacy, the law applies. And if you have 10 children, then the 10 share equally.
Mm-hmm.
So the wise thing is to make a will.
Okay. Just I have this question that came to mind. So, at what point in time should someone really consider making a will?
What point in time I should make one, Sari should make one, and you should make one?
But
Because life is so unpredictable at any time after you pass age 18 and you have assets,
mm-hmm.
then I think you should.
You should. Okay.
Yeah.
True.
And there is no age limit. The age limit, the starting point is 18. But as long as you can be 90, 95, and you have all your mental faculties about you, then yes, you can go ahead and make a will.
Yeah, well,
All right, got you
good.
have to make a will. I gotta make my will. I
Yeah,
wanna
yeah.
ask him how much what's the price to make a will, you know?
Yeah, somebody asking that question.
Yeah.
Tell them I'll have to give them that out in chambers.
All right, so we have some scenarios here that we want you to give your I would say what your advice on, or how would you as a lawyer handle that? Gotta let you take the first one. All right.
Yes, so the first scenario, a husband died owning the home he bought after his wife left him. His wife had been gone 20 years, having run off with another man. The husband wrote a will stating that his daughter will receive his house once he is dead. His daughter decided to sell the house. However, she was interrupted from doing so by the dead man's wife, who is the rightful owner of this inheritance.
Right. No, in a will, you can dispose your property however you like, and you can give to whoever you want to give to. But this is always a problem, parents pass and children feel I was a favorite, I'm the older one, so I should get this, or this one get more than me. But it's my property. I can give it to whoever. I can give it to a complete stranger.
Mm-hmm.
No, your scenario. You said after the wife left,
For
you
That's
bought
20 years.
the house
Yes, you bought a house after.
No.
after.
Yeah,
No. Yeah, he bought it. Yeah, after. Sorry, my bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then she has absolutely no input. You see, why I asked that question again is
Mhm.
because, as husband and wife couple, you may purchase property together. And in purchasing property together, there are two ways you can hold property. You can hold it by what is called joint tenants. And
Mm-hmm.
in joint tenancy, if one party dies, the other party inherits the whole because it's undivided.
Okay.
The other option is tenants in common. With tenants in common, when one party passes away, the surviving party holds on to the half, while the party that passes away, their half would go to the estate, or even they made a will, then it would go to whoever they divides their half to.
Okay.
So that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
No, as I said earlier, it is his property. He can devise it to his daughter, to a complete stranger. And the wife have absolutely no right whatsoever to take any action. In an instance like that, there is something called a caveat, whereby, the caveat could ask that probate of the will be stayed until investigation is done, whether the person wants to take action, or whether they want to file a claim in court
Mm-hmm.
to declare that the will is void for whatever reason. But in that instance, no, the wife has absolutely no right to inherit anything there. I don't see she have any cause of action whatsoever.
She probably meant that she was not divorced, so she thinks she's still the wife of
But
the
you
man.
see, and
She
that's
probably
where
used it.
intestacy comes in,
Mm-hmm.
because although she was estranged for the last 20 years, if there was no will, then she was entitled to half of the house
So
for
the will,
property, and his daughter to the other
right,
half.
right.
Hmm.
So
So
the
you
will
see
and
how a will, a will is very important,
True.
because this is a scenario that happens all the time. You have a estranged husband or wives after the partner or whoever passes away, then they come claiming their half, and legally
yeah.
they're entitled to it. Yeah,
The will is important.
very.
Yeah.
Next scenario, God. You they got read all the
Second
scenario.
scenario. A well meaning father made his oldest daughter beneficiary of his $80,000 bank account with instructions to the daughter to share the money with her siblings. Unfortunately, the daughter kept all the money after his death. The other siblings were upset and decided to take their older sister to court. Is the oldest daughter obligated to share this inheritance?
Right. When you say beneficiary, and guys, I know you're a banker. When you say beneficiary, do you mean that there was a joint account or there was a will? Because there's only two ways. Oh, I know. I'm not so sure if the commercial banks do it as well. I know in the credit union there's a form and you can have someone as your beneficiary.
Beneficiary, yeah.
And based on the Cooperative Societies Act, if you make someone your beneficiary, right, then a will cannot override it. So when you say beneficiary, do you mean that there was a joint account, so she became a joint account holder with him, or it was
Nah.
it was bequeathed in a will?
Well, it could be a will in this case.
Beneficiary as in a will.
Yeah.
Beneficiary as in a will.
Mhm.
But you see, that's again, that's one a little bit touchy because you see the other siblings, were they aware that the money was given to her to share? Because then in a case like that, you can go to court and say, that was not the intention of the testator for her to be the sole
Okay.
beneficiary of the money.
Mhm.
On the other hand, she can use the argument and say that the testator in his will could have said, okay, I give 20 to A, 20 to B, 20 to C, 20 to D. Instead, he gave all to her. So she can make the claim and say, well, okay, all is mine.
Right. And that's what she did.
While they know what they have is to bring an action to court and say, well, they have to bring proof, evidence to show that, my father always said that I will give the money to A, but A have to share it equally amongst us.
So you're saying in the absence of proof, A still gets all the money?
In the absence of proof, yes.
Okay.
Well, if I'm
You
A,
see, but you see, and again, it's a scenario that is a practical scenario,
yeah, these things
very
is hard.
practical scenario because folks do that and say, okay, you know what, um, Yvonne is the most responsible one.
Mm-hmm.
Sabi and God, they're gonna take the money and spend it, so I'll give it to Yvonne, and Yvonne gonna control it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
While there are ways, there are certain things you can do. You can say, okay, I'm giving to the other two, but they're young still, so let me put it on trust. And they will get it when they're 25 or when they're 30.
right,
Okay.
So the money remains on trust until A and B reach 25 or 30.
right.
Yeah, there's always ways you can do these devices instead of, people not aware of that. When they're making a will, most time they don't seek legal advice. They just say, okay, no, I want to make a will. Particularly the older folks, they might talk to some of the other older folks who say, just write something and neighbor, come and sign that, watch me sign that. I'm making a will.
Mhm. True.
We have a question.
So
Let me just.
my advice is that, when you want to make a will, go to an attorney, get some advice
All right. So I have a
before you
question.
prepare your will.
I have a question. Let me put it on screen for you. So what if a will was not made, but a surveyed piece of paper? I don't know what's a surveyed piece of paper.
I
Was
guess a
left
plan.
was left for the land or the piece of land. What should the sibling do? So I guess you're talking about land here.
Right, and a will was not made.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then if a will is not made, then it falls, as I say, on intestacy. So if you have a piece of land, right, a solid piece of paper, assuming it's a plan the person want to refer to,
Right.
and that plan says 10,000 square feet, and during the lifetime of the deceased, he or she said, okay, I'm giving you, that is your piece of land. A
Mhm.
and B don't have to get anything from it. It wouldn't work like that. A and B would also entitled to a third. No, it's between family or siblings to come together and they know, well, okay, this is what mommy or daddy wanted. Let me do it like that.
Yeah. Whenever I agreed
But
you wanted to make that
strictly,
agree.
but on a strictly, if it's on a legal basis, no, that can't work.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Next one. Go ahead, God.
A father wrote a will giving his eldest son his house. He did not have any witnesses, but had it notarized by one of his best friends. The other two brothers felt that the oldest brother should not receive the property and decided to pursue the matter in court. Would the eldest brother receive the inheritance?
Well, based on everything I said over the last few minutes, that answer already is no.
I
Because
don't
as
have.
I say, a will supposed to be in writing and follow a particular format, and that's when I open and describe, the requirements
So
of
that's
a
not a
will.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not even a will.
No, it's not. It's not even a will.
Yeah.
All right, the
So
final
that person died intestate.
right.
Right. So we could avoid that, or for the listeners, that you should, if you have a property, whether it's mortgage or free, try to avoid those type of drama. You know, continue to make your wills. Visit Mr. Paul and he go assist you there.
Or any other attorney, as a matter of fact, but get some legal advice because,
Yeah, for real.
just before you continue, I always say that to folks. When your appliance, whether it's a fridge or a television, goes bad, you take it and you bring it to the electronics repairman,
Right.
right? When you have a legal problem, you start to do it yourself.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And after, it goes haywire, then you go to the attorney
Yeah.
Funny, but that's what most people do, eh?
After the damage is done.
Yeah. Make
after the
things
damage is
worse.
already done.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's continue with the
All
last
right,
one.
final scenario. Mr. King, who was the CEO of a company, died and made his assistant inheritor to his company. His two sons felt that his assistant fabricated documents to steal what they should have inherited. As a lawyer, how will you handle this case?
Well, again, I think from what I said before, answer part of the question.
Yeah.
You as a testator can give your property to anyone,
Right.
Whomever.
right? As long as he, as I said, the formalities have been complied with, as
Mhm.
long as he had the mental capacity to make the will, as long as there was no coercion, as long as he wasn't coerced by the assistant in any form whatsoever,
Mhm.
then it is valid,
Yeah.
and the assistant will be entitled to the company
So you see
or the
what you had
shares
there?
or whatever it is.
Yeah, as I was saying, what we had there is person's feeling that this is what should happen
Mhm.
just because of association, not
But
necessarily
not
because of wishes.
association, because you blood,
Well,
and
yeah,
you
well,
think that
that's a
because you are a child,
child, right?
right? You have this expectation that your parents would leave the property to you,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's left to a stranger, that is something that you can't comprehend, or you just can't wrap your mind around it. How can they leave it to a stranger? So there must be some fraud somewhere.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying that there are instances where that is true,
right.
and that is where you have to go, but you have to have proof. If you're challenging a will, you must have proof to show that, okay, well, dad didn't know what he was doing,
Right.
you know, he was induced in whatever way to do that. Then you have to bring evidence before the court to show to challenge the will.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True.
I take this question already.
Can a person get legal rights to a property if their parent died without a will, and that person was the only one would I
There's
would
a
think
person
who
who paid for
paid
the
for the
funeral.
funeral, even
Mhm.
if there's other siblings? But right now I
Right,
can answer that one.
right.
God, so you could
You
answer
know,
that
you see that one, and I would tell you that growing up, I used to, always hear my grandmother saying that, this person had been in the street and they pay the funeral expenses, so all the property is theirs.
one. Right.
Hmm.
And I think up to now, people still, laboring under this misconception that if you pay for funeral expenses, then whatever that person have, whatever property, it should be yours.
Yeah.
No,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work like that. When you have a will, before any device is made or any gift is passed, you must pay all your funeral and testamentary expenses,
Right.
right? Even even in an intestacy is the same thing. You have to pay your funeral expenses. Now, let me give a scenario. Say I have this house, right? My house worth $100,000, right? So I mean, you pay the funeral expenses, which is $20,000. You can't claim the house.
Right.
What you can claim is your funeral expenses. So if there are two persons or three persons, then each will have a third.
Okay.
Now, if you decide to sell that house for $100,000, then you have to take off your $20,000 for your funeral expenses, and the 80 will be split three ways,
Okay.
Okay.
right? So you can claim your funeral expenses,
Hmm.
but it doesn't entitle to you to claim the
Everything.
property.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
And one of the other thing that you hear a lot, and I think I understand the reason why you hear it, where the oldest, what they say, the oldest child got
Hmm.
is entitled to it.
The oldest is entitled to it, the first.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
say that.
And that
Yeah.
is that biblical? Maybe that's why most people say that. I think there's a portion in the scripture that speaks to that.
Yeah. But
But
what is
Well,
coming from the, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, yes, it may be biblical, and when you read the Bible, you realize that laws are premised on the Bible.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but legally, it doesn't work like that.
Hmm.
As I said, under the Interstate Act, if you have 10 siblings, each have 1/10 of a share.
Okay, Obed. Okay, wonderful.
You're saying that?
No, I was just saying from the discussion, you can see how a lot of inheritance challenges that persons face can be remedied if a will is in place.
If a will is in place,
A will is in
definitely.
place. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you see,
Right.
there's a lot of folks again don't want to make a will because they think that if they make a will, then I mean they would die soon.
Yeah, yeah, but
It,
it's a means of ensuring that your family is I would say covered or protected from some of these challenges.
yeah.
It makes things a
Yeah,
lot easier for them in when time to hand over whatever inheritance they may be.
and your wishes are honored.
Yeah.
So do you think when a will is made, it should be kept in secret, or the persons that will benefit from whatever it is should know upfront?
I think that during the I think during the testator's lifetime, it
Yeah.
depends because some folks, if they know what they're getting in a will, there's problems.
They,
There's real problems.
They want to kill a man up quick.
What some people do is it's to register the will at the deeds and land registry. Some
Hmm.
folks will leave it with the attorney, while some again would leave it with the executor.
Right.
Because when you make a will, you would appoint either one or two executor or executrix.
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So
I don't. I wouldn't advise it. I mean, if it depends on the relationship.
yeah,
I think let me retract that. It depends on the relationship.
Okay.
But because if you have a good relationship and you can say, well, I'm leaving X, Y, Z for both of you all, and there is no problem, then yes.
Yeah.
right, right. All right. So
What I think something that I should mention though, because a lot of people fall into that trap that they make a will, and I think that's the folks that don't go to an attorney. They make a will and they don't dispose of all their property,
oh,
Mm.
right?
hmm.
And there is no residual clause. No, what a residual clause basically says, puts it simply, is that all other property whatsoever and wheresoever found would go to X, Y, and Z, or will go to X. So, for instance, you may make a will. You make a will now. What happens? You win the lotto, and then you pass away,
Hmm.
Mhm.
right? If you have a residual clause, then it will fall under that. Or you have a vehicle that you forgot to enter into the will, right? It would fall under the residue. If not, then that part of the will would have to devolve under intestacy.
Okay.
Okay.
But not that part of the will, sorry. The part that is not under the will.
Yeah,
Under the
yeah,
will.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Sorry, yeah.
All right. Got any final questions?
No, I think as it relates to will, that is a very good clear understanding for me
Yeah.
as to the way forward. So Sabi, we had to make an appointment to go do our wills.
Yeah, boy. I don't know. I mean, you thinking you had time by your
Well,
side,
you know what they say? You know what they say? A mechanic never have a good car. I ain't saying more.
you should not sit down at all. Don't worry. From this discussion, I believe you will definitely think about it.
Yeah.
I have to. I don't have a will.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
something important, you know. All right,
Wonderful.
guys. So, Mr. Paul, I want to say thank you for taking the time off your busy schedule to be with us. We can't promise you that we'll not invite you another time. You know what I mean? So just be ready and willing to accept our invitation when it comes again. Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe next year. Who knows? We never know. But we may just need something from you again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As long as I'm available, not a problem.
Right.
Because there's so many other issues. So I mean, you could contact me anytime, Sabi. You know, we have that relationship,
Yeah.
and you know, if you want to touch on something, because there's a lot of thing out there that people are confused about, and
Yeah.
I don't mind taking half an hour, 45 minutes, just to
Yeah, man.
enlighten the public.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Taking a last
Yeah.
question before we go. Got?
Yeah. This last question: can someone do a will, leave it with an executor, and then do a different will a couple years later and leave it with a lawyer without knowledge of the executor?
Like confusion.
Yeah.
But
Yes, that can be done. And the one that would be valid is the later one in time, yeah?
The
okay,
later
okay.
one, yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it says that this is my last will and testament and it revoke all former testamentary
Okay.
dispositions.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Straight. All right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good.
Wonderful.
All right, man. So we on time, God?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Mr. Paul, thank you again, man, and blessings, man.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thank you.
brother.
At any time. All right. Have a good one, folks. And to your
Thank you.
viewers and listeners as well. Good night.
All right.
All right.
You're right, God, boy. That was some serious food for thought.
Yeah, boy.
That was some serious food for thought, that one, you know.
Yeah.
So guys, we want to encourage you when you're thinking about your inheritance, it's something that is very important and very serious. So I don't think we should be taking it for granted. As God has blessed us, and when He bless you and He bless you with things, don't be greedy and feel like you gotta die. And some people that say, "What? I want to go to the grave with it."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen persons got not in yeah. There's this one man that I knew. Seriously, the man died when he died, his children was throwing money in the man grave, gold chain
Yeah.
in the man grave. There's this one instance in I think it was in Guyana where they bury a man with some big gold chain and thing, and so then people go and dig up the grave to get it. You understand?
Yeah.
So don't take the little things for granted because that could, avoid a lot of confusion and separations and feelings and
Yeah.
so on within your family,
Within the family. Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah.
Well, it's now 25 minutes past 07. We've been here since 6 o'clock. We said we would finish by about 7:30. So we have 5 minutes. Guys, if you have anything you want to add or ask just before we wrap up, feel free to do so now. Um, Someone say, great job, Mr. Paul. Another person say, awesome session. Yeah. And I'm glad you guys are loving it. Another person sent in a comment. They said, great points. So this Joshua generation needs to restart and do things,
Reset.
or reset, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and do things correctly. I really commend you young men for the fire topic and also having a legal consultation speaks volume. Hats off. All right, so guys, thanks for the encouragement. We'll continue to do our best here on the Money Talk. We know what we're talking about next week just yet, but we're sure the Lord is gonna play something in our hearts.
Yeah.
All right, so you gonna end here, God?
Yeah, well, it's been a very rewarding one. I
Yeah,
must say today I really learned some stuff. So you see, we started off with inheritance, and we had a point now where we know how we had to handle,
yeah,
how we had to go about this thing of inheritance. Eh?
yep,
So I think some of us might even need to have a conversation with our parents.
true.
Probably pull up the video back on YouTube, let them listen to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because as that person said, this generation needs to do differently.
Yeah,
I've watched a lot of the seniors, and when they pass away, the family have major problems,
shambles and
right? And I think we really need to do it differently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
We
that's
had to
what we
break
talk
that
about
cycle.
the cycle. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Change our mindset and the cycle, breaking that cycle, and making sure that we set new trends.
Yeah.
I mean they're there, but just follow the principle that is there. God, as my man said earlier on, he said that the Bible, you heard when he said that,
Yeah.
is like a platform
Yeah.
for
That
law.
laws are based on.
You understand?
Mhm.
So that's some food for thought right there.
Sure.
All right. So my friend, my wife is saying, if you haven't subscribed as yet, please do so and subscribe right now. All right, subscribe to Hope FM Grenada. All right, thank you, Lionel, for all the reminders. All right, so we're gonna take a departure here. God bless you guys. Remember, tomorrow morning you can log on to Hope 103.1 FM. We are streaming via um, frequency 103.1 and also on our internet page if you are some other parts of the world and you can't really connect via radio, you can I was just reading the comments. Don't subscribe long. Thank you,
Long.
Debrana. All right, so you can definitely listen via our internet page. A good friend, and even on your mobile devices too, you can also listen when you go on to Hope FM Grenada, www.hopefmgrenada. Listen to the precious lady in the morning. Just before that, you can listen to our brother Trevor Thompson as he shares the morning devotions. We also have some preaching. Different days we have different things. This Wednesday, I'll be on the inside, and that's the Hope Drive, where we do conversation or share testimonies, or persons or guests are invited to share their testimony to inspire hope into others. All right. This Wednesday, I'll be discussing the topic temptation. All right. So I'll be glad if we could have Misha and Debrana and Kareen, more people out there in Radio Land, Barbara, Zania, Linnell. I just check in Sylv, Donna, all the folks that are on today, Arlene, if you guys, what's her name? Keziah, yeah, my brother Keith, guys, join me this Wednesday on the next live we'll be doing. This is this Wednesday, and let's discuss the topic together. We all teach and learn from each other. We ain't got another pro in this place just yet.
Yeah.
We striving as we continue to study. We'll learn, so we'll be able to correct ourselves. We'll make mistakes and so on. But God be praised in all we do. So guys, enjoy. It's now 7:30. We take our departure. God bless you. See you again on the next Money Talk Monday, God's willing.
All right. Good night, folks.